Hi guys, welcome to my channel. My name is Mila and I'm a psychoanalytic psychotherapist, and today I'm going to share with you, the signs. What are the signs when someone is guilt tripping you? This specific video is about friends, but I think it's very also relatable to partners. So let's begin. First, I'm going to get straight into it. So the first thing they do is that they weaponize their pain against you. So it could look something like, let's say your friend has a birthday and then you really cannot come to their birthday because you cannot cancel work. Something is happening, something very important in your life is happening. So therefore you cannot make it to their birthday even though you plan to make it up to them. And so what happens is they then tell you, wow, you really don't care about me. That's guilt tripping. They're guilt tripping you. So this is one of the signs. See, let me just describe to you in general, how would you feel, right? How would you feel? You would feel, one, confused. You would feel like it's not fair. You'd feel emotionally drained and exhausted because most likely it's happening again and again and again. When someone guilt trips you once, trust me, they're going to guilt trip you for the second, third, fourth time, etc. You feel like you're this bad person that they made you out to be, but you're not that. But most importantly is that you feel like you're starting to betray yourself because you're supposed to be doing something that other person needs you to do that you really don't want to. Like you've done enough. You feel like you've done enough, So that's a perfect example. Why does this happen, guys? By the way, why does this happen? This happens when someone projects their trauma onto you. So by projecting their trauma onto you, what I mean is, let's say their parent has hurt them in their childhood. Let's say they didn't give them enough attention. And then what happens is they have this hole within them, right? There's this hole that they cannot feel that void. They can't feel that void. And so they put so much expectations on you to do something for them that really, ideally, their parent should have done when they were kids. And so when, let's say, you don't attend their birthday, or when maybe you don't give a call when you're busy, but you couldn't respond to the messages, or you couldn't, something happened, you are there to blame. See, that happens in normal relationships too. But if it wasn't guilt tripping, then when you respond to that person like, hey, I care about you, I love you, people normally they kind of like bring themselves back to reality, and they're like, oh yes, of course I know you do, you just didn't have time to respond to me. Like a lot of the times in a normal, when they're not guilt tripping you, they will own up. They will own up to the fact that they, just dumped something on you, like, right? They expected something of you or they guilt tripped you. They will own up to it. It would not happen again and again and again. But guilt tripping, it's a thing that doesn't just happen once. It keeps happening again and again until the point that you feel like you're crazy. You're crazy, you're a bad friend, you're a bad partner, you're a bad human. You just feel so confused, you feel attacked, and you feel, even though the guilt tripping does not always have to be like very aggressive. Sometimes it can be very sly. Let's say when you try and draw a boundary and you say no to something that your friend or your partner wants, then they will, it's not always that they're going to like react aggressively to you, or they're going to, a lot of the times they're going to be this victim. They're going to start crying like, oh, I can't believe you're doing this to me. Or sometimes it can be very sly, like, oh, I see. So this is how you choose to treat me. It can be like that too, And that is just so sad. That is such childish behavior. That is so immature. And that is, unfortunately, that comes from trauma, because for them, their trauma got triggered and they fell into the child's role, and now they're just reacting and they're guilt tripping you. And now you have to deal with this emotional overload of another person. And that's not fair. It's not fair on you. Let's look into other signs. So you're not allowed to say no without them making you feel selfish, self-entitled, bad, even though you had valid reasons. Right? Another thing is they keep the score. So every act of kindness from them, it's almost like after they do something for you, you feel like you owe them. So you start making it up to them. You try and to like somehow, you will go and buy them something, you will go and give them something, you feel like you owe them, right? You genuinely feel like you owe them. It doesn't feel like it's just an act of kindness. It's like a, friend to a friend thing. No, there will be slight hints, there will be subtle hints that they did this for you and you owe them. You owe it to them. Another thing is you feel bad. I already mentioned it. You feel bad when you did nothing wrong. That is like the perfect example of being guilt tripped. You feel like you're bad, you've done something wrong, but you're like, no, wait, I didn't do anything wrong. Like, everything is fine. Why is this happening? And then you start overthinking. You're like, wait, what did I do? Was that right? Was that wrong? You start calling your friends. You're like, is that wrong or right? And everyone around you will start telling you like, hey, no, you did everything right. Everything is good. It's just that person expects too much from you. That person sees you almost like like a parent, like a therapist, or like someone from their past that is supposed to satisfy all their needs. But that's not the case. Even parents, at some point when the person grows up, they're not supposed to satisfy your needs. You are a grown-up adult. You should be satisfying your needs on your own. This is your life and your responsibility, not someone else's responsibility. And here is the thing. You are made to feel that you're responsible for someone else's feelings. Feel hurt, and you should be responsible for them being hurt. Again, it doesn't work like that. If you're hurt, in the end of the day, look, if they're really deeply hurt about the way you're treating them, they should just withdraw themselves, okay? Of course, why did you end up in this situation, right? Why are you in all of this? Because you might be a people pleaser, because you feel like you have to, you need to prove someone that you are good, that you are a good person. You struggle with self-worth. Like, you just don't know, like, maybe you don't know that, okay, I'm a good friend, right? So recently a situation happened to me, but you know what? I was like, no, wait a second. I'm an amazing friend. I'm the best friend that you can have. And I was like, I'm not buying that, no. And see, here's the thing. When this whole tripping behavior happens, it's not love, guys. It's not love. It's not really friendship, partnership. It's control. It's that person trying to control you. There's no love in control. There's no love in manipulation. How can you say someone that you love them when really what you're doing is you're just subtly trying to manipulate them and gaslight them into getting what you need, getting what you want? And the thing is, like, for them, it will never be enough. Unfortunately, no matter how much of what they ask of you to do, it will never be enough. And the trauma can be different, it could be like trauma of abandonment, right? Like, they will feel like, you're not close enough for them, like you're not validating their feelings enough. Maybe you're not there present all the time for them, like they need you. I remember ages ago I had a friend who always needed presence. She wanted presence from all her friends all the time. I asked her once, I said, what's the deal with presence? What happened in your childhood? And she told me a story about how her father did not buy her a doll when she really wanted it, and she remembered it for the rest of her life. And so now for her, to show love is to give her presents, and everyone has to give her presents. And I remember every time she would leave my house, she would always walk out with something, whether it's food, it's some, I don't know, it's like a dress, it's makeup. Like, she always walked out of my house with something. And I was like, what is going on? I was genuinely confused. But the thing is, it's okay, guys, it's actually not funny. Like, when someone gaslights you, you start losing touch with reality, and you start feeling like you're going crazy, and it does not feel fair. Like, it really doesn't feel fair. A lot of the times you do put the effort and you're not in the wrong, but that person makes you feel like you're in the wrong. Depending on what trauma they have, they will try and get the most out of you, so to fill that void. Remember, you can never fill that void for another person. Only they can fill their own void within. You cannot, even their parents cannot fill in their void. That is not your job, really not your job. That is for them to deal with. Not your job, their job. You're not responsible for the way they feel. Okay, you can always constructively, you can always talk through things. You can always discuss things, and there's always a way to talk about it. And and I'm going to talk about, in a separate video that I'm going to record, I'm going to talk about contracts, unconscious contracts that we create with people when we enter relationships. And it's really important to check what is it that other person is expecting from you. And a lot of the times in the beginning, they won't tell you. They won't tell you what they expect in the friendship. They won't. But it's important to always be on the same line, like to understand, okay, this is what I expect from you as a friend, and this is how close I consider you. And for my close friends, this is what I expect. And if you're not close friend, then I don't really expect that much from you. And so it really depends. For everyone is different. You know, someone has anxious attachment, fearful avoidant, dismissive avoidant. Everyone has different attachment styles. So we're not going to match with everyone, right? And so it's really important to always, communicate. Communication is the key, without guilt tripping, without. And so you might say, so how do I deal with this guilt? How do I deal with that? What do I do when that happens to me? I think I'm going to record a separate video on that. But overall, no matter how well you communicate, no matter how good of a communicator you are, they will always turn it back on you. And unfortunately, the best way is to separate yourself from that situation. Unfortunately, it is how it is. Or the person can go into therapy, and then if, let's say, it's a couple, then you can go to couples therapy. And because as someone who's ridden with trauma like that will always see life and relationships from with glasses, with like trauma glasses on. They're almost not able to see the reality for what it is, and they always will try to switch the reality. It's almost like you start feeling like, okay, you don't understand what's real and what's not, because they try to make their picture, they try and put their picture of reality, put it on you. It's like, imagine if you have trauma, you wear like pink glasses. Your trauma is pink, you wear pink glasses. You try to put the pink glasses on another person. And for another person to see the world in pink, it's like, what's going on? Right? It's confusing, it's reality disturbing, it's distortive, right? So be careful when you see the first signs of someone, manipulating you and gaslighting you. Again, it could be very dark manipulative, like push and pull. It can be, it could be the opposite. It could be just someone crying their eyes out, begging you for your attention or for you to do something for them. Or it could be, there's multiple ways, there's multiple levels, someone's just going to completely ghost you and not even going to tell you what need you're not satisfying for them. Someone is going to try to explain it to you, but still in a blaming manner. Someone is going to cry their eyes out, and someone is going to scream at you, telling you like, hey, I need. So see, there are different levels. It depends on the personality. It really depends. Either way, distancing yourself from that, it would be the best solution really to the problem. Yeah, so anyway, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in another video. Bye.